Okay, it looks like more people have joined us, and I do see a couple questions coming in. So that's good that that's working. If you did join after I just mentioned it, there is a question feature on your screen that you should be able to ask questions. So if you want to give that a test right now, you can just send your name and your chapter, and then we'll just make sure it's working for everybody. But let me go ahead and get started. My name is Hannah Gunderson. I'll be the one presenting for you guys today, going over everything. I'm going to walk through OmegaRecruit, everything you guys need to know. And then Sarah Beth is my teammate. She'll be the one answering those questions during the webinar. So if I'm going over something and maybe a quick question comes up, you can just ask that. Sarah Beth will get back to you. And then at the end of the webinar, we'll also have a Q&A section where you can answer. And then that way I can give you an answer, Sarah Beth can give you an answer, or we could show you on our screen just to go over that. But right now I'm going to pass it over to Sarah Beth really quick. She's going to give you just an overview of like OmegaFi and who we are. So I'll give that over to her.
Yeah, awesome, Hannah. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to share a little bit of information about OmegaFi today. So for more than 30 years, OmegaFi has provided technology solutions to help uh, customers manage their finances, streamline their operations, recruit new members, and communicate with their members. Whether it's working with 57 different headquarters, local chapters, house corporations, IFC and Panhellenic councils, and alumni associations across more than 650 campuses, we remain the industry leader when it comes to technology in the fraternity and sorority community. We're based out of Columbus, Georgia, and we securely process more than 1.1 million per day for our clients and have securely processed more than 4 billion since 1992. We're also deeply committed to serving, promoting, and advancing the fraternity and sorority experience. We aim to make raving fans with every individual or group we work with by reaching, innovating, and acting with agility. We challenge ourselves to dream big every day and to help others achieve their own dreams. To say we're passionate about what we do is an understatement, and it's this passion that has encouraged our clients to trust us to do the heavy lifting so that they can focus on their mission and having fun.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah Beth. So let me go over to our agenda for today. First thing we're going to do is just go over some general tips for successful recruitment. Then we're going to go over logins and account setup. So that will be getting into your account as an admin, as well as like how your members can get into their account just as basic users. Then I'm going to go over the main menu and different features of OmegaRecruit. So basically going through the setup process, showing you different reports and things that we offer on the software. And then after that, we're going to go into voting. So I'll quickly show you what a ballot would look like for you guys and your members to vote. And then we'll go back to the OmegaRecruit to give you an overview to see how those votes look once they come in. And that way you can see what you should be looking for during recruitment as you start going through these parties. And then, like I said before, at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So basic tips, be proactive and be prepared. Well, you will be prepared. Definitely log in as soon as you can. Get your members to log in. Make sure y'all's accounts are working. We say do it at least 1 week in advance, but the sooner the better. So if you have time, maybe over the summer, just to message your chapter and have them log into their account, make sure it's working, is something I definitely recommend just to give yourselves more time and also so they can get used to it. Practice, I'm sure once you get into your polish weeks and stuff like that, you'll be able to do a little mock recruitment. But maybe you want to encourage your members over the summer just to do a test ballot. I'll show you how to set that up so they can just get used to what voting is going to look like, entering that in. And then training, so review webinars like this one you attended. You can rewatch it. We'll be mailing this or emailing this to you so you can watch it back. It'll also be on our YouTube. And then I'll show you a bunch of help articles where you can find that in OmegaRecruit to go over. So that way, you know, you're comfortable and confident with all the tools we have to offer. So what your members will receive or what you will receive, excuse me, is this OmegaRecruit activation email. And this will just be prompting you to log into your account for your chapter as a whole. So just follow the steps here. It'll only be one person from your chapter that does this. You don't want to have two people doing this because then you guys are going to end up with two different OmegaRecruit accounts for your chapter, and that obviously can get messy and a little confusing. So make sure just one person's doing this. If it's your VP of recruitment or your president, maybe an advisor, whoever it's going to be, Just make sure it's that one person they can go through. And then in here, it'll also give you some tips if you need help, like where you can find that. So this is the activation email for your chapter as a whole. And then for your users, they'll be receiving one that looks like this. So it has that big orangish yellow button that says create your account. Now, if you were participating in recruitment last year as a chapter member, you can use your same login as last year and it'll let you in. But if it's your first year, so for a lot of our sophomores, and maybe people who joined as a sophomore, so juniors, they'll have to set up their account for the first time. So they'll just click that create your account, and then they can log in with their email and then create a password, and it'll take them to what they can view on OmegaRecruit as a member. I also am going to show you, oh, excuse me, I'm going to show you really quick where you can add users. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here you can see this is the user list. So this is in OmegaRecruit. It's this tab right here on the side. It says users. If you click this user list button, it's going to show you everybody who you currently have given access to. So these will be mainly returning members. If you're looking at this and maybe you see some seniors that graduated that don't need to be on here, maybe members who weren't returning for the year, you can just click this red X button and delete them. But for adding users, you can click this add user button and you can either put them in like this, so like one at a time. So if you only have a few new people, you can just put in their first name, last name, and email. It'll send them that registration email. But if you have maybe a larger pledge class that you're going to have to add, then you can choose to upload it as an Excel file. So right here, it tells you how to do it. You'll just have their email address, first name, last name, nothing more, super simple. You don't need to format it with like any special fonts, colors, nothing like that. Just plain information, save it, and then you'll just click upload email list once you choose that file. But this is a test account, so we already have our users. There are people who work with us. We made some fake users just to have a little bit more to look at. Another thing I'm going to show you here when you're getting your users set up really quick is this star feature. This is a way, I'll show you later on how you can match your members. So this is going to match your chapter members to these PNMs. You can choose how you want to use this star feature, but it will give preference in the matching feature if you choose it to. So what a lot of people will use it as, if you have chapter members who you think will be like really great recruiters, maybe they're just super extroverted, outgoing, bubbly, those girls who the chapter loves, maybe they're super funny, or maybe it's people on your executive council that you want to star, that we want to prioritize matching them with maybe certain PNMs that I'll show you how to star later. This is where you will be able to do that. So you just would click the star button, it'll star them. And then I always recommend clicking this little like hamburger menu over here, clicking refresh, just to make sure it saves and that the system recognizes that this person's now starred. All righty, let's go now. I'm going to help you guys get started. So what will happen when you first log in, when you get that create your like overall chapter account, it should take you to this page, this setup page. And I'll show you as we go through this. Up here, it'll say setup and it'll have a bunch of instructions. It'll say like step 1, step 2, step 3, etc. But this is going to automatically take us to step 1. So when you log into this, I think even before you click this users, it'll give you this pop-up. We'll just click confirm and it's going to take us right away to set up these chapter dates. Let me check here. I don't remember. No, it is under edit rounds. Okay, so it's going to have you edit rounds first. So you're going to add rounds. So you'll click this add round button. You'll notice that the last round is always listed as a preference round. So no matter what, it's going to be pref. So just based on how many rounds of recruitment, whether you have 2, 3, or 4, you can add rounds for that. So I'll do 4. And then I'll show you how you can rename these. So round 1, maybe we're going to call open house. I know a lot of schools do it that way. So this one will be our open house round. Round 2 maybe will be sisterhood, where you can just show them your recruitment videos, tell them a bit about your sisterhood, different events you guys have. Round 3 we'll call philanthropy. And then round 4, it's marked as prep, but we can put in prep here as well. And then that way that's there. We're going to click save. And then that way it has our round saved. Now I'm going to go back to this PNM list. You're going to click PNM list again. And it should, oh,
You just got to go to edit chapter. And so
mhm.
sometimes when you first log in, you just
Oh,
have to
it removed the
pick
date.
your,
Okay.
yeah, you got to
Thank
pick
you,
your recruitment date.
Sarah
Yep.
Beth. Okay, so we're going to go down here and we'll pick these as our recruitment dates. We'll say it's like next week or something. So we'll click save. There we go. Now it should let us go back to this PNM list and then it'll take you to these steps. So we already did step one, which was setting up our different parties, or excuse me, our different rounds. And then you'll see here that there's these practice files that I'm going to download really quick. This is where you guys can do your practice. So this PNM list will be a list of fake PNMs. Party one and party two, I'll show you how to upload these to your rounds. So if you maybe have a bigger recruitment at your school, sometimes round one can go over multiple days. You have multiple parties. It isn't just one group of women that comes in for round one. Maybe you have um, 5 parties, 10 parties, 12 parties, just depending on your school size. So I'll show you how to upload that, and then we'll go to step two and upload PNM. So I'm going to go back to this chapter tab, edit rounds, and then here you'll see it says open voting. Now, if we did it this way, whenever you have your parties and you go to vote on PNMs when you talk to them, it'll show you all PNMs that are active in that round, which if your school maybe has a bit of a smaller recruitment, could be no big deal, but I know some schools have, over 2,000 PNMs, which could be a lot of scrolling. So we recommend doing this as parties. So here you'll be able to set them. I am going to choose, let's see, I'm going to do 12 parties, I'll say, for open house. I feel like that'll be good. And then for sisterhood, I'm going to go ahead and do 9 because usually you have less PNMs returning. And then these ones I'll leave as open voting because maybe by the time you get to this point, there's just less women coming in. And so that way it'll be easier to scroll through the list. So I'll just do save this way. And now we have those parties set and we'll upload the PNM list for the parties later. We first have to import our PNM. So I'm going to go back to PNM list. It's going to tell us step 2, upload PNM. So what you can do is either read these instructions here. So it says, A, B, C, D, go through those steps and follow it, or easier way, which I recommend, is just clicking step 2 and it'll take you exactly to the page you need to be on. I'm going to show you right here detailed instructions and examples. I highly recommend that when you have your list of PNMs, when you get it from your school, or if you're using ICS, it'll be a little different up here. It does note that. But just make sure before you upload the PNMs, you look at these detailed instructions because it has to be entered in exactly this way for our software to read it right. And this could impact your scoring. So common issues is sometimes scoring is impacted based on their year in school. So if they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that can impact scoring, their GPA, different things like that. So you'll want to make sure that it's listed using these header titles, no extra formatting. So it'll say HSGPA, GPA scale. Down here, it'll tell you all the things. So you can either do HSGPA, so like high school GPA, or type out high school GPA and put it in that way. But if you do any other variation that's not listed here, our software is not going to read it. And then these PNMs, GPAs will not import correctly, which will then impact their scoring and then make it a little bit more difficult for y'all to update. So just make sure when you get that list of PNMs, you go through this, you make sure that each of your header columns falls under one of these. Now, if you have a column of information about your PNMs that your chapter uses for specific information you guys need for recruitment, but it's not listed up here, just switch the name to custom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Later, you'll be able to update this to be more specific to what it actually is. But for the initial import, you'll just want to make sure if it's not one of these listed here that you switch it to one of these so it actually comes into OmegaRecruit correctly. Down here shows you how to save the spreadsheet. So this is the type of workbook you want to save it as. Again, super important to do it this way to avoid any issues on the upload. Um, and then down here, it'll just tell you to upload files. So you can go through this whenever it's time to do like your actual PNM list. But for now, the test PNM list that I downloaded and that we have available for you guys to download, we've already formatted. So that is good to go. We're going to click, excuse me, choose file. I'm going to go to downloads, PNMs, open, and then we'll click upload PNMs. And if it is done successfully, it gives us this green box and it'll take us right back to the PNM list. If we want to see that come in, if we go to, oh, excuse me, I'm going to click close PNM list, you'll see they're all listed here. The pictures imported, names, which party they're going to be showing up as. So right now they're all going to be listed in party one because we haven't uploaded that party list that tells us which woman goes to which party. So right now it says one, but eventually those will have those numbers changed. Um, Overall, it's showing that they're an active PNM, and then you can just go through this. Right now, they have no scoring, so it's just showing active for each round, but eventually there'll be scores listed here so you can see how voting has gone for each of the women. So I'm going to go back to the setup list now and go down here. So you'll see those other step 1 and 2 have disappeared, as well as step 3. So now we're going to go to step 4, advanced round and party. This is where you're going to be able to upload your parties, I believe. Edit rounds, or maybe Sarah Beth, is it under this tab,
Yeah,
or is it
so that is going to be how you advance your parties when you actually start voting. But if we skip to step 5, we can look
mhm,
at uploading actual parties, or you can go under that PNM drop
PNM
down
list? Okay.
to upload parties.
Sorry, guys, I'm still learning OmegaRecruit a little bit, but Sarah Beth's the pro, so we have her here with us today. So upload parties will be here. So that's where we're going to choose the file, and we're going to do it for open house. So that's the one that has 12 rounds. Choose file, um, parties 1, open, and then I'm going to submit them really quick. And then for sisterhood, I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to upload these there now. In real life recruitment, you're not going to get these PNM party lists until obviously the round is over because you have to get the list of PNMs back after they've voted, and then you guys have also put in your list of the women you would like to invite back. So you won't be able to do all these at once, but since we have the files, I just uploaded them right now. But now I'm going to go back where I'm going to go back here just to show you guys. But step 4, it's going to advance round and party. So to set it at the first round, we're going to click open house party 1. Round status open. Once we click change status, that means we can begin voting on the women who are in the first party of round 1. So the very first woman you're going to have in your house on recruitment will be listed here. Change status, people can vote. Maybe the round's over, now it's time for party 2. You'll just go back to this page, click party 2, change status, and now it'll let you vote on those women. You'll also note that like if party 1's over, round status should still be open, but once open house is done altogether, round 1, and you've made it through the parties, you're going to want to change this to closed, and that way it's not going to allow people to add any more votes on these women. This is also really important to do, I would say, if you have a round that goes over multiple days. So if round 1 goes maybe 2 days because you have a larger recruitment at your school, at the end of day 1, I would go in here, close the open house round, and then tomorrow, once round 1 starts again for day 2, you can go here, click open, change status, and then set the party that you'll be voting on. And that way your members can go in and vote on the woman they talk to. Now, once open house is done, you'll close it, you can save it, and then we can advance it to sisterhood. So now it'll go to this round, and then same process you can go through here. But let's start with open house since it is just the beginning of recruitment. Change status. Back to PNM list so we can get this steps. You'll notice step 4 doesn't disappear, and that's because you're going to have to keep rotating through these steps for all of recruitment. So we don't want this to disappear on you guys. Step 5 we already did. We uploaded those PNM parties just because we wanted it in for party 1. But as, again, recruitment goes through, party 1's over, everybody votes for round 1. Round 1 ends, then you're going to get your list back from your university or whoever's over recruitment as a whole, and then you'll be able to click this step 5, and then it'll let you upload the party list for your next round. So if sisterhood ended, we get our philanthropy list of the women who will be going to this round. You can upload it and do it that way. And then step 6 is just voting. Again, these all kind of go together. You don't have to do them um, in necessarily like a specific order for this initial setup. So just go through these. And then step 7 is just managing P&M. So that way you can set their statuses, excuse me. So that'll be under this P&M list where we already are. So we can just click close. Um, and then you can click on their names if you want details for them. So here it'll give vote details. There hasn't been any votes because we haven't done that yet. But you can also break it down by party. So if after open house, maybe Ashley didn't get invited back for whatever reason, her thing would be active here. But for sisterhood, you can see she was not asked back. So it's going to say no party regret. You can manually update this, but when you upload those parties on step 5, it'll, if a P&M is not listed on the party, on one of the party lists, it'll automatically switch their status in OmegaRecruit. So it'll switch them to regrets. So when I uploaded party 2, Ashley wasn't listed on that list for sisterhood, so that's why these are regret, and then it's going to go all the way down. Now, if she was back or maybe something was a mistake, you could switch this to active. She's not assigned to a party, so if for whatever reason it really was a mistake, then you could put her in whatever party she was supposed to go to, and then click update party data and just hit that check mark. Now I'm going to show you just some other things under this P&M list. So back here is where you can see obviously the list of women, but if you click this little menu here, you'll see different options. So right here is a select column. This will let you edit which columns you're seeing across here. So maybe we want to see their high school, their name. If this is before recruitment, maybe they don't have an overall score, but we could still leave it. The party, and then maybe we want to see some of their interests. So if you want to make that initial list of matching up women, maybe round 1 you usually get matched up on basic interests. So maybe if she cheered in high school and Sarah Beth cheered in high school, they could be a good match. At least they have something to talk about. You can do it by hometowns, anything else, but maybe we want to see interests on here. We don't need to see this, let's say, those rounds, and then maybe we want to see their class, so what grade they're in. Once we do that, we can click done, and then it's going to edit this view. So now you can see we're only seeing which grade they're in, their school, their interests, and that's about it. If we want to make it longer, obviously we can just click select columns again and then add more views. So we do it like this. Another thing you'll be able to do under here is export this list. So whenever you have this set here, you can just click export, and it's going to download and give you this list. Let me pull it over to the screen so you guys can see it. And it's going to show you everything. Now, something that I think can be concerning when you look at this right off the bat is you'll see their scores say -1. That's not a mistake. That's usually just how it shows up if they haven't been voted on in that round yet. It's hurting their score or anything. The only time I think I would be concerned is if it was like after open house and all that voting was done. If a P&M didn't have a vote, I would make sure that that's correct. Maybe someone forgot to vote on her, or maybe she just didn't actually show up for the first day of recruitment. But other than that, don't worry about this like -1 score. It's not impacting anything. It's just telling you that they haven't been voted on in that round yet. And then you can scroll over. It's going to show you more stuff here. So this is where their pictures, where their headshots, their class, legacy information if your chapter chooses to view that, and then everything else. So you can just scroll through and use that. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to show you under here is just this refresh button. You want to make sure whenever you're doing different updates, so like if you wanted to double click these things and like reorder them, you can do it. If you click a name and edit it, just make sure you go back here and click refresh so you're getting the most like up-to-date version and information on each of these PNMs. Same with voting. So if maybe you just finished a round and members voted and you're looking at this PNM list, go here, click refresh just to make sure all of those votes will import and you can see those to make sure everything's looking okay. This is another feature I'll show you since we're here as a slideshow. There's two different slideshows in OmegaRecruit. This is just a virtual one. So you can click on here and then go through it. You just use your arrows and this will show you their name. It'll have all of their information here. So this is just like their specific ID number as a PNM. And then all of these information fields filled out. And you can just click through here and get to know your PNMs a little bit more. This could be helpful if maybe like before recruitment, you just want to get a feel for the woman coming in the house so you can be maybe a bit more personable. It's a little bit more difficult, I know, when there's 2,000 different PNMs coming through, but if your school is a smaller recruitment, this could be really useful just to get familiar with the faces. And then that way, it just maybe makes for a better conversation. People can be prepared with some information about these women before they come in, just to have some talking points. Whenever you're done going through this, you'll just click the escape key on your keyboard and it'll take you back to this page. Next thing I'm going to show you is under this PNM tab as well. If you needed to add a PNM after like that initial upload, maybe it's just like one woman, you get notified that she wasn't on the list, but like chapters need to add her, something like that. You can just enter in her information like this. It'll have all those same information fields that the Excel spreadsheet would have. But if you only have like one or two women, it may be easier just to fill in the blanks like this as opposed to making a whole spreadsheet, filling it in that way, and then doing the big upload under PNMs, add PNM, and then having to like upload the whole thing, excuse me, under upload, not add. Another thing I do want to note while I'm here is you can upload additional PNMs. So if you maybe upload one file and then you realize there's like a second spreadsheet or there's like a big chunk of women you forgot to add, you can click choose file, upload those PNMs. It's not going to erase the other ones. And it'll also look to make sure that those like PNM like ID numbers that I showed you, if it's already in the system, it's not going to add them twice. So if like myself, Hannah Gunderson was added, and then I accidentally got put on that second sheet where they're like, oh, upload this group of women as well, it's not going to make me like two PNM profiles in this for you guys. It just won't upload that portion. It'll upload the rest. Same with if you do it under PNM, add PNM, and you do it individually. If this like ID number is already in your chapter system, it's not going to add them twice. Another thing under here, comments, I'm going to go back to this page, but here's where you're going to eventually be able to see a list of comments made. So if you have a comment section on your ballot, which I'll show you right now, actually, let me open up the round. Oh, it should be open. I may just have to refresh my screen on this one. Okay, here we go. Here's the ballot. So this comment section, if I talked to a woman and I maybe thought it was like great conversation, super interested, I can do it this way. And then we'll say this was Alexis. I give her a 4. She was great. I really want to see her come back. I can recommend her to a member or to a chapter member to talk to her next round. I can click submit. But when you go back here under PNMs, you can see a list of those comments. So you'll see that Alexis has one here. You can click to view the comment, and then you can see who put it in at what time, etc. And then also under here is this rec form. Now this page will vary based on your organization. So I think most organizations have different forms of recommendation, what the information they put on there. So for this one, if I click it, it's going to be just an OmegaFi one that we made for our test accounts. And so you can go in here, fill out the information, and then submit it at the bottom, or it'll let you, here we go. I got it to unfreeze, sorry y'all. So anyways, that's the rec form. You can fill it in there. Then what I was gonna show you is you can also export it. Sometimes I know alumni will do it like on a piece of paper and they'll fill it out that way. So if it's not an active chapter member that can put that in, you can export it, they can fill it in, and then if you have a membership team, they can take the information from that and then upload it. The other thing here is reports. I'm going to put in, I think, a few more votes just so we can see a little bit more information here. So let's click Daniela. We'll give her 3. Submit. Let me go down here. Jamie, she gets a 5. Submit that one, and then I'll do one more. So we'll do maybe Lindsay. Maybe I'm not going to recommend because maybe Lindsay said she wasn't super interested or something like that. So maybe we aren't going to recommend a member match because she didn't have the best conversation. Another thing you can do here before I submit this, I want to show you is this little light bulb tool. This will give you more information on her so you can just jog your memory about who these women are. Seems a little sometimes you maybe question why that's there, but I know during recruitment, sometimes things get a little crazy. And if maybe a vote doesn't go through or something, and they're asking like, who talked to this girl, it's nice to be able to click this and then see her picture. So maybe you can connect like a face and a name or some information down here. And you can say, oh, I remember actually talking to this girl. She loved four-wheeling, had a long conversation about it. And that way you can put in your vote. So there's extra information there, but we'll say she got a 2. We'll click submit. And now I'm going to go back here and show you these P&M reports. So down here, it'll show you where you can generate a report. This is just going to give you that list of P&Ms again. You can filter it by only active P&Ms or include the comments. So like the comment I put in, it would download when you click this. You'll be able to see it. It may take a second to load. Here we go. It should be when you scroll over, it should have a comment section. Or maybe I just pulled up. Here we go. It should include it. You may have to click enable editing, but either way, it'll download the report. The next thing I'll show you is this vote section. This is, you can again filter by only active P&Ms or you can have it for all rounds. All P&Ms, you can filter it by round. The sort option will let you view it in 2 different ways. So if we do it as a user, and I'll do it as a P&M, it just changes how it shows the report to you. So this view, it's going to show based on your members, like your active chapter members, it'll show their name and then all the votes they put in for that round. Now, if you do it the other way, like the PNM way, it'll show you the PNM's names instead of my name up here. And then it'll show you who voted on each one of these PNMs in what round. So it'll have it all listed right there. Close these out. Comments, again, pretty self-explanatory. You can do it for all rounds, open house, whichever ones you want. You can sort it by time, PNM or user. So if we do it by user, download it, you'll be able to see that I made a comment on this PNM's account or on her profile. And then it also lists the comment here and the time. Slideshow, this is the second place I said before there's 2 slideshows. If you prefer to have the slideshow of your PNMs in like a PowerPoint format, this will be definitely the way you want to do it. You can either do it by active PNMs or all of them. And then if you want to include the pictures, you'll just click this, download the PowerPoint, and then you can swipe through that with your chapter. Voter distribution. This again is just going to show you like votes by the different rounds. Right now, we only have an open house round, so I'll do it this way. And I'm going to download it to a PDF again, just because it's easier to see. What this is going to do, it's not going to give you necessarily like details on who voted on which PNM. It's really just giving you an overview of like how many of each vote went in. So I remember like when I was in undergrad and we did recruitment, our vice president of recruitment looked at a report similar to this, and she noticed that we were giving out a lot of 5s, which is great. But sometimes then it gets a little bit hard to differentiate your PNMs when you're making the list, and they're getting, put in order by score. So this way you can see like maybe we're giving too many fives, we're not going to be able to separate these women, or maybe like scores are really low and it's like, let's be a little bit more mindful with how our chapter votes. So maybe you can go over with your chapter like the different categories you vote in, what those votes mean. Um, for the Omega Phi example, we had 1 through 5. So maybe, like 3 is like average, a great girl, you would love her in the sorority, but nothing crazy. 4, maybe she's like super involved. And then 5 is like, I've never seen a PNM like this. Like she's done 100 things and she's so good at it. She loves being here. You know what I mean? Separate it like that. This is going to vary, of course, based on your organization. Everybody votes a little bit differently. So you'll be able to go over that with your chapter. If you don't know the information yet, I'm sure an advisor or um, somebody who previously was in the role will go over the different voting for your chapter. And then this voter audit report, this is something we added. It'll show if votes were altered or if maybe like PNMs were voted on after the fact. It's just going to give you a list of those changes. So let's go back to the PNM list really quick. Um, let's select columns. I'm going to get rid of these because I don't need them anymore. And then I'll leave that stuff. So this should show, we can see down here, like Daniela has a vote. So I'm going to click in here, vote details, and I'm going to edit it. So maybe the vote, whoever was voting, maybe I did it and I'm like, my hand slipped, I accidentally submitted. I didn't mean to put a 3. I wanted her to be a 4. So it goes back, switches to a 4. We can click save. And when we go to this PNM list and we go to reports, vote audit report, when we download it, it should, oh, it's going to make me log back in. It should, it'll give a list. It'll say Hannah Gunderson edited the vote at 8:40 p.m. And then just show it that way. Give me 1 second. Sarah Beth, while I log back in because it kicked me out, was there any questions that have come in or maybe people want to ask while I get this pulled back up?
Um, yeah, so I know a few things. I figure you're probably still not done going through and going to hit on what the hub and matching are. But as of right now, I know on the columns, um, one thing to mention on that is just making sure that when you're selecting what columns that you make sure you select all your voting columns. Otherwise, you're not going to see your votes in there. Um, so that was one thing that we had questions on was like what columns should be selected. So really, you can select any you want, but just make sure when you're actually looking at your votes and everything, if you're seeing or you're not seeing something that you think should be there, it's probably you don't have all your columns selected. So just make sure all the ones that show actual scoring in them are selected under that PNM menu. And then also had a question on um, the difference between the ICS users and regular users in terms of uploads. I know we kind of hit on that, but there's two different screens that will be different for ICS users. So we have an integration with ICS where that information can automatically pull in. So on the two upload pages, the one for PNMs and the one for parties, if you're an ICS user, you'll have the ability to connect to ICS, which Hannah will show later when she goes through the chapter menu. But when you're connected to ICS, you'll just have a button that says import from ICS, where you'll be able to import the information on the PNM uploads and the parties. If you don't use ICS, use something like Campus Director, anything like that, that's when you have to use the actual upload and follow that detailed instructions to get those uploaded. And I think that's all
That's
the questions
perfect.
that I see right
Okay.
now.
Yep. I think I have it pulled back up, so we should be good. Um, So we're back here, like Sarah Beth was saying, just make sure those things are selected. And then I will go ahead. Actually, let me show you this really quick before matching. We're on the PNM list. I know I previously mentioned with your users, you could star um, your chapter members who you think would maybe be really good recruiters or that you want to maybe prioritize in matching with PNMs. The way you're going to be able to get that feature to work is you're also going to have to star PNMs you would want them to match with. So maybe just based on like some of the information these PNMs, if we double click the star, we think that maybe they would be a great match for our chapter, maybe in their interests, like things they were involved in high school really align with your chapter's philanthropy, or they just seem like very interested, then you can go ahead and star them. And that way, when I show you this matching to our tab right here, it'll let you use it as a criteria. So right here, you'll see starred members slash PNMs. You could raise the importance of this. Um, and that way, when we go ahead and click generate matches, it should prioritize those people that we think are really great recruiters with maybe some PNMs that we really think would be a good fit for our chapter. So here you can see the criteria. We have Amanda Bramley matched with Ashley. And it's just based on the stars. So that was Amanda, we think in our chapter is just a really great recruiter, super extroverted, and we think Ashley will be a good fit. They match based on stars. And that way, when you go ahead for recruitment, you can line up your members with the PNM. So that way they maybe pick them up at the door if that's how you do your recruitment. And that way that's who they're going to be talking to for that round. Now, this feature isn't required. You don't have to use the matching feature for OmegaRecruit to work and the voting to work, but it is something that we offer you guys. So you can maybe once you get those party lists back, you can figure out which order you want to put your chapter members in to pick up these PNMs at the door to speak with them. And that way you can kind of match them on similar interests. Um, It'll list them all here, and then you can download it to Excel or PDF. So that way you can have it. I know sometimes chapters will maybe give this to whoever, probably your vice president of recruitment before each party to make sure everybody's lined up and knows who they're going to be picking up, knows who their member's going to be. Again, when you look at this, sometimes since it is just suggestions and not like a requirement, people may have two matches for a party. So make sure you go through it and don't have like one of your members picking up two different women. If we go back here to calculate matches, it lets you pick that maximum out here. So right now it's going to only let Amanda match with like up to two um, members, but you can edit this. So just make sure you go through that list and make sure there's no duplicates, or if PNMs aren't on that list, you're obviously going to want to go through and see which one of your chapter members weren't automatically matched and which PNMs weren't matched, and then maybe assign them to each other based on information you can find under the PNM list, that information about their interests, things like that. Another thing you'll see here is recommendations. That would be when we were doing this ballot, when you can recommend a member, it'll put them in here. So if I recommended Allie, when we go here, if we put this on high importance, it's going to prioritize matching PNMs with those members that your sisters have suggested that they meet with. If you want to make it a requirement, you can click this, and that means those PNMs will only match with a chapter member that they were recommended to. So if you have any of these set to required, it's not just going to suggest it. It has to have that criteria to match them up. Otherwise, they won't show up on the list. You're going to have to maybe manually match them and do it that way. If you want on this list to add the manual matches, you can click here, add new match, and it'll let you select the member. So maybe Shannon Ducker is our chapter member, and we're going to match her with Ashley. The system didn't automatically do it, but we just, after looking at things, think they would be a good match. You can go ahead and click save, and then that way it'll add them to the list. So when you download the PDF or the Excel file, it'll be listed there. You can also organize it by party. So it'll show all the party 1 matches up here. There's only 1 match for party 2. Party 8 is down here. And then also if you click this plus button, it'll tell you why they were matched. So this one, they matched because I recommended them. For down here, it says stars and interests. If we click this, it'll show that they both love running, and that's one of the reasons they matched, as well as both of them being starred. So that's how the matching feature works. Again, you don't have to use this, but it is just a helpful tool we have, and um, feel free to use it. The next thing I'm going to show you is this hub. So this is going to show you a lot of really good recruitment stats for your chapter. So this is going to show you up here, it'll say overall, let me scroll up. overall count. Down here, you'll see is P&M statuses versus rounds. So it's just showing you how many active P&Ms you have each round. And then if you go over here, it'll give you more information. So this one, it's showing that round 3 and round 2, because we didn't upload a party list for round 3, these are all going to match. But for round 2, 68 P&Ms were not returning, so those were marked as regret, and then you have 31 returning. You can also click this little arrow down here, and it's going to break down the information this way. So instead of a graph, it'll just be written out into this chart. There's other ones down here as well, votes versus rounds, so you can see the number of votes that were for each round. Down here, we have votes versus legacy. So if your chapter does keep track of P&Ms that are legacies for your organization, it'll be listed here. If your chapter doesn't use that, this one shouldn't show up. Down here, it'll show high school GPA, so you can see a breakdown. And again, if you do it this way, it'll just show you how many people within each of these GPA categories you have. And then you can keep scrolling through. I won't go through all of these just because it would take a while, but these are different features and reports your chapter can use just to kind of get an overall feel of how recruitment's going. Up here, you'll see this little hamburger menu. It'll also let you filter this by round. So right now we had it overall, but if we wanted to only see it for open house, it's going to update the information you see. So now votes versus value, votes versus legacy again, they're all down here. So those will update and you can switch it back. If you want to do this way to average, you can do it. It's really editable by you. And I'm going to go down to this chapter tab. The voting tab is just what this ballot looks like. The only reason it's not letting me show you this way is because since I'm an employee, like the access I have, it's not going to show up since this is a test account. But that is just the ballot up here, that voting one. Now, if we go to chapter, Sarah Beth mentioned in the question ICS info and uploading P&M. So if your university uses ICS for P&M registration, you can link that here. So you'll go to chapter, you're going to click ICS info. And then it'll give you the steps. It'll say connect to your ICS account and OmegaRecruit. Please log into ICS, choose OmegaRecruit as your third-party provider, and you'll do it that way. And then when you go to P&Ms, when you would go to upload P&Ms, it should have it listed where like ICS, it'll let you import it that way versus uploading a file like that. Another thing I want to point out is when you're doing this practice, if you are an ICS school, if your chapter wants to practice with these test files, make sure you disconnect from ICS first. So that way you're not mixing up any of this like fake information with your actual like recruitment registration on the ICS side of things. So you'll just want to go ahead and detach that, make sure everything's updated, and then you can go ahead and upload the fake P&M list we gave you as that download, and then go ahead with the practice votes. Another thing I'm going to show you really quick is the edit custom columns. So if you remember back when we uploaded the P&M list, if they didn't have one of those specific fields listed, we said to use custom 1, custom 2, custom 3, custom 4, 5, 6. This is where you can fill in the information. So this is where once it's uploaded, you can go here and just type what those custom fields mean. So whatever you want it to be listed out, you can just type that in there, go down here, click save. And then when you go back to this P&M list, and we're going to select the column. If we add this custom 1, it'll show up on here and have the header title that you have assigned to it. Another thing I'll show you since I'm here is if you don't want maybe this to be the first thing, since we just added this, you can click this and slide it over. I know a lot of times people maybe want to see votes first, so we'll just slide this over and then it'll put that custom 1 on the end. Back to chapter, last thing to show you is this master reset. So after you do all your testing with these like fake P&Ms, fake votes with your chapter, you're going to want to reset your account. But just be very careful once real recruitment starts. You do not want to master reset because it will erase all of your data and um, you may not be able to get it back. So once recruitment gets going, make sure you avoid this tab. But once you finish your practice before actual recruitment starts, make sure you do this master reset. You'll see here, it'll remove all the PNMs listed, all the votes and comments that have been submitted, and then it's basically set back to before recruitment. It'll also make you refill out from like step 1 to step 2, like I showed you earlier. It'll make you refill in that information with your actual recruitment info. Um, the only thing it won't reset is your user list, so you don't have to worry about after those practice rounds clicking this master reset button. It's not going to erase your users. This section will still um, all be listed right there for you guys. Another thing, since we're talking about users, if we go to the user list, something really quick, as if you're the person, like you're the VP of recruitment, whatever, making sure for your chapter, you can make sure people have established their accounts by looking at this. If they haven't, it'll have this box right here that says send registration email, and you can click that, and then it's going to send them an email to set up their account. So once you get this practice going, I recommend going through this list and just making sure everybody's logged in. Nobody needs this registration email sent back to them. And then the last thing I'm going to show you before just these different like help sections is the user reports. Down here, you can just click Excel and it'll download. It doesn't have all the customized fields like the other ones, but it will just give you a list of people you have eligible or you have set up to vote for your chapter. So it'll have their name, email, phone number, hometown interests, and access level. Sometimes, again, membership teams I know like just having this information of the people who are going to be participating in recruitment. It's good to have for your archives if you want to save things, have that all downloaded. You can do that here. These sections down here are, these two are going to be help sections. This page will tell you how your organization does recruitment, how it's configured. So this one's set to OmegaFi. It just says each round votes are on a scale from 1 to 5. So no matter what, like round 1 all the way up to pref, their ballots are always going to look like this, where you just have a vote 1 to 5, and then it'll tell you how the scoring works. We just average the scores, overall score. It tells you what that is. Now for your organization, it'll probably look different than this, just because people have different criteria that their organizations use, how they do their scoring, how those things are laid out. So you'll just be able to go to this configuration page and it'll tell you how your organization has recruitment voting for you guys. Down here, training, this basically just goes over everything we went over in this webinar. It has screenshots, so it'll show you the welcome page, what it's going to look like as you go through, so all the information you'll fill out, and then again here it'll say step 1, step 2, step 3, go through it. Now, don't be alarmed if you are returning. Maybe step 3 won't be there because the users will already be put in. So don't think you're missing anything. Step 3 is just uploading users. So if you already have users, that is not going to show up on your page. But here it just breaks down how you can go through all the things we went over today. And then this help me section has a lot of FAQs. So you can go through here. We have it kind of broken down to make it easier to find what you're looking for. So maybe you want to remember how to add a vote on behalf of a user. Maybe somebody's phone died and they couldn't put in their votes. They had to make a little note and do it later. This will let you know what you can do. And then there's just information on how to do that. We also have this big Get Help button. And this is where all the articles that our team writes, how-to articles are. So again, if it's voting, you can go here and then it'll answer any question you have. You can also use the search feature. So once you go in here, it'll just give you a quick answer. It'll give you the other articles in this section and you can just go through it and get answers to your questions. And then if you don't see any of your questions answered in any of these areas, you can also click the support button. It should let you email, or I'll have the last slide of this PowerPoint will have all of our contact information listed out for you guys. So let me switch back to that just so you can have it. Okay, and that's listed here. So here's our email support. Once recruitment starts, we do have like 24/7 support just because we know how important recruitment is. And you guys are on like very strict timelines. You don't have a lot of time to wait. So you can always reach out to us this way leading up into it. And then once recruitment starts, we'll be there 24/7. You can just email and reach out and we'll help you guys with whatever you need. Sarah Beth, was there any other questions that came through or any other things you wanted to maybe touch on? I know we have a few
Yeah,
minutes.
there's a few people who asked about the recording. So this is being recorded and will be sent to all registrants. And then another thing I wanted to touch on with the adding users, we did just do our yearly master reset in May. So the only users that will currently be in your system, unless you've added them since master reset, will be anybody who is an admin. So whoever was marked as an admin before master reset, they'll still be in the system. So even your users from last spring and fall will need to be re-added if they were not admin. So when you go to upload your users, you'll be uploading all of your users into the system that weren't admin level access.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I think there was one other question about new features for fall. I know Hannah touched on the matching feature for people who are returning users. That may look a little different. Previously, that was embedded in like the reporting menus. Now we have put it out into the main menu, so it's easier access for that matching tool. But I think that is all the questions we have.
Okay, perfect. Well, if anything comes up after, you can again reach out to this email support right here, and then our team will get back with you and answer any questions you may have. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. I know it's late, so I appreciate you sticking it out. But have a great rest of your evening, and I hope you have a great recruitment. Thanks.